Check the audio real quick. Then we gonna continue. Check, check. Check, check. All right. All right. So it looks like we good. Good to get going. Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Shalom and salutations to you, brothers. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and who rule well over the flock of Israel. Shalom to all the brothers that's teaching, the teachers, the prophets, everybody that put their life on the line to promote this truth. Shalom to all the Akim and the Akwaf that's scattered around, paying attention, listening, adhering to and keeping themselves from evil and striving for perfection in these days, in these last days. Shalom to the flocking. All right, all the Akim out there. Yeah. All right, so today we're going to go into, as the title says, the book of Daniel, chapter 2, 7, and 8. I'm thinking maybe an hour and a half, hopefully. That's wishful thinking. So that's 3 chapters in Daniel's that I'm going to go into. A lot of these notes was taken back from 2012. That's how old some of these notes are. And it's dealing with a test, the book of Daniel's test that came out back in 2012. That was the December 21st. Some brothers remember that. So I'm gonna go into it, and I would rather to be edified. The picture I have here is supposed to be the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, by the way. It's like AI rendered, I believe. Either way, let's get into this quick precepts dealing with dreams and visions, ways in which the Most High allows his ways to be interpreted through man is dreams. One of the mediating ways that the Lord will deal with you is through a dream. It's not that every single dream you have is spiritual. However, we're dealing with dreams in this setting here, dreams and visions. So Job 7:13, when I say my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, then thou scarest me with dreams and terrifies me through visions. So the Lord sends those dreams and visions, especially the ones that are looking scary and wake you up. A lot of those is brothers will have them. Just Akwaf will have them. Children will have them. Just dreams about the end times. Very terrifying dreams. Job 33:14. For Yahweh speaketh once, yea twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed. Then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. And what I'm gonna do here, as you can see, I like to go into NLT just to get a the same phrases, the same words, just spoken differently, saying the same exact thing, bringing out a little different character in life in it. So bear with me. Let's grab the NLT. Job 33:14 again on the NLT. It says, Yahweh speaks again and again, though people don't recognize it. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night when deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds. He whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warnings. He makes them turn from doing wrong. He keeps them from pride. All right, so these dreams are the ones we're dealing with here in Daniel's, the 2nd chapter, and the visions in the 7th and 8th chapter. They're all prophetic. So we're dealing with prophecy right now. All right, so we're going to get right into it. So if I pause, that's because I'm reading from my notes as well. All right, so this is Daniel's 2:1. And in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep break from him. And I have here a good timeline, a decent timeline of what that might look like during this time, right? As you can see, it says here, Nebuchadnezzar's dream of great world colossus. That picture deteriorate, whatever. As you go down here, it says 612, the Babylonian Empire. Don't worry about this guy here, that's Caesar Borgia. So this is the time, this is the period, this is the empire that we're dealing with, right? Okay, Babylonian Empire from 612. All right, so let's get back into it. So Nebuchadnezzar, which he went by a different name as well in secular history, but he was a real figure. So in his second year of his reign, his dreams were waking him out of his sleep. All right, verse 2. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and astrologers and sorcerers and the Chaldeans for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. So the king calls these wise men to show him his dream. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed the dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. All right, so he wants to know the meaning of the dream. Verse 4, then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. So they want him to tell them what the dream was first so they can interpret it for him. Verse 5, the king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your house shall be made a dunghill. So the king told them that he forgot the dream. So unless they tell him the dream, he's going to kill them and their families. Verse 6, but if you show the dream and interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. So when they show him the dream, then he will reward them with gifts. Verse 7, they answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation of it. So they asked the king again to tell him the dream. Verse 8, the king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. So the king is saying that they're trying to gain more time because he forgot the dream. Verse 9, but if ye will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. For ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can show me the interpretation thereof. All right. So the king said, if they don't tell the dream, they will be punished. They will just continue to live, avoid punishment. Therefore, tell me the dream, then I'll know you can interpret it. That's what he's saying. Verse 10, the Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. So his wise men answered him that there is no man on earth who could show him his dream, which is why it has never been asked before in history. Verse 11, and it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh. So they told the king that only the gods who dwelt not in flesh can show him his dream. Verse 12, for this cause the king was angry and very furious and commanded to destroy all the wise men. So the king got mad and ordered the execution of all his wise men. Verse 13, and the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. So Daniel, the decree went forth, right? So Daniel and his wise men's lives were sought after. Now, verse 14, then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guards, which was gone forth to slay the wise men in Babylon. So Daniel used discretion to answer Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, who led the executions. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. So Daniel asked Arioch why the decree was so urgent. So Arioch gave him the answer. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, that he would show the king the interpretation. So Daniel went to request more time that he might show the interpretation to the king, right? Verse 17, then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, right? Which is Daniel's Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego was their Babylonian names, but these are their Hebrew names. So he let them know what the matter was. Verse 18, that they would desire mercies of the power of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. So Daniel asked his brothers to pray to the Most High for mercy in interpreting the dream so they wouldn't be executed. Verse 19, it says the secret is revealed to Daniel. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the power of heaven. So Daniel thanked the Most High for revealing the interpretation of the king's dream in his night vision. All right, going back to Job 33, dealing with night visions, right? Whispering in ears and terrifies them with warnings. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night. Let's keep it going, though. Verse 20, Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of Yahweh forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. So Daniel immediately blessed the name of the Most High Yahweh and gave him credit for the interpretation of the dream. Verse 21, and he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. So Daniel acknowledged that the Most High appoints and removes kings and gives wisdom and changes seasons. Verse 22, he revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth within him. So he as well as reveals mysteries. Verse 23, I thank thee and praise thee, O thou power of my fathers, who has given me wisdom and might, and has made known unto me now what we desire of thee, for thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. 1 second. Okay. Just making sure y'all can see this. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou power of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and has made known unto me now what we desired of thee, for thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. So Daniel gives the Most High the glory. 24, therefore Daniel went in unto Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, destroy not the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will show unto the king the interpretation. So Daniel told Arioch to suspend the decree, that he may show the king's dream and interpret it. Then Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus unto him, I have found a man of the captives of Judah that will make known unto the king the interpretation. So Arioch brought Daniel to the king to interpret the dream. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen, and the interpretation thereof? So the king asked Daniel to interpret the dream. Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king. So Daniel said that no wise man on earth can show him his dream. Verse 28, but there is a God in heaven, a power in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. So, but the Most High of Israel has revealed the end times to the king in his dream. Daniel does not take credit for the interpretation. Verse 29, as for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter, and he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. So the Lord revealed this understanding of prophecy to Daniel. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation of the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of the heart. So the Lord revealed this understanding of prophecy to Daniel. And Daniel does not want any credit for the interpretation of the dream. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 1 Thou, O king, it says the king's dream. Thou, O king, sawest behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. So the dream was of a great tall statue. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass. So a head made of gold, breast and arms of silver, stomach and thighs of bronze. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and a part of clay. So his legs of iron and feet part of iron and of clay, right? Verse 34, thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and breaking them to pieces. So the king saw a stone cut out from no hands that struck the statue on the feet and crushed them. Verse 35, then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. All right, so the statue was of 4 major kingdoms. All right, and the whole statue was then broke as chaff. And the stone is what broke the statue. Then that stone became a great mountain. Now, obviously, we're going to get into it, but I'm going to say it anyway for now. The statue represented 4 major kingdoms, as we have here in the timeline: the Babylonian, Medo-Persian, Greek, and the Roman. And that stone symbolized Yahweh. Okay, that stone cut without hands that broke the image symbolized Yahweh. All right, and that great mountain symbolizes the kingdom to come. But let's move on to verse 36. It says the interpretation: Babylon, the first kingdom. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. So Daniel said he will interpret the dream. Verse 37, thou, O king, are the king of kings. For the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power and strength and glory. So he told the king that he has given, that the Most High has given, he's been given all power and strength. Verse 38, wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art his head of gold. So King Nebuchadnezzar's Babylonian empire is the head of gold. It says here, Medo-Persia and Greece. Daniel's 2:39. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. All right, so the breast of silver symbolized the Medo-Persian empire, as you see here. And the stomach and the thigh symbolizes the Alexander the Grecian empire. Let's go back, verse 40. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. So the fourth kingdom is as strong as iron. That's the Roman Empire. The iron represents the military might of the Roman Empire. The fact that it shall take over all the existing nations and the rulerships at that time. That's what it means. It shall break in pieces and bruise. All right, verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. Let me read that again. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of the potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. So in verse 41, the feet and toes symbolizes the EU. They resemble the last leg of the Roman Empire. All right, we know what the EU nations are all about, right? As a matter of fact, let me grab EU. Let's see what comes up here. EU. All right, EU is the European Union. It's their flag. Supernatural political and economic union of 27 members states that are located primarily in Europe, right? But in the beginning of them was more or less, it was just 10, because this is what's considered this land that came out of the Europe, that the European Union stands today. This land was all Roman Empire, which was considered Western Roman Empire. When they split into the Roman when the Roman Empire split, they split into the West, which became the 10 toes states, which is the EU, and then there was the Eastern Rome, which became like Turkey and Greece and whatnot. So initially, the EU only consisted of 10 nations out of this side. That was the 10 toes. Now, the reason why they're part, let's go back into the Daniels real quick. As you can see in verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Now the EU nations, as you see here, are partly strong and partly weak. Part of the EU nations are financially strong, and part of the EU nations are financially weak. The UK, which is highlighted here because I believe they're trying to break out. Germany, Belgium, if I'm not mistaken, these are strong. Sweden, Denmark, these are strong parts of the EU. Spain, Portugal, Greece, Romania, these are very weak. Czech Republic, Poland, these are weakened parts of the EU. All right, going back to Daniel 2:42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. All right, let's move on now. Verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So they will ultimately turn on each other. The divine kingdom. Excuse me. Verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Right, and that's that. Let me just keep going. So verse 44, the Most High's eternal kingdom of heaven will be set up on earth after consuming the remaining kingdoms. You can see in the timeline, that's where the stone cut out without hands. So it begins to be just, that's the future. After that, no more kingdoms, no more kingdoms left. The only kingdom is going to be the kingdom of the Most High, and it's eternal. Verse 45, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great power hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. So just as the king saw in his dream, the interpretation will come to pass. Yahushua is the stone that will cut off all world governments. So Daniel promoted, it says. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face and worshiped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. So the king then tried to worship Daniel for his wisdom. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your power is a power of powers, and a lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. So the king gave Daniel acknowledges Yahweh, all right, the power of Daniel, or Daniel's power rather. So verse 48, then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts, and made him a ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and the chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. So the king gave Daniel rank as a ruler of the province of Babylon and chief of the governors over all the wise men. He was made something like a president in that time. Daniel's 2 and 49. Then Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So Daniel was put in high position, close to the king. All right, so that's the end of Daniel's 2. And now we're going to continue on with Daniel 7. Before I do that, let me just grab. This is cool because it still goes into all of them. Real quick, just showing something about another image involving the time frame of everything. So 650 BC era, the Syrian Empire. You might recognize his name, Nabopolassar. The Syrian Empire ends. You have certain men, Sargon and Sennacherib, and just certain other names that should pop up when you think of the Syrian Empire. You should also think of the northern tribes coming over here to the Americas. That's all within the Syrian Empire. 612 BC is the beginning of the Babylonian Empire. You have Nabopolassar, and a lot of these empires existed. It's not like one just fell and another one just began. It's just when one fell, then the other one took over. So Babylon existed prior to the fall of Assyria, if you understand what I'm saying. So did Medo-Persia. The Medes existed during the Babylonian Empire, so you can understand. So, 612 to 539 was the Babylonian Empire, 7 years captivity within that. Then you had the Persian Empire, but without skipping ahead too far, I just wanted to show that there's some good, Jeremiah during the Assyrian, all the way into the Babylonian, Ezekiel, Daniel. So Daniel, what we're reading out of, was all during the Babylonian Empire, pretty much. He was born in the Babylonian Empire, you could say, or at least right at the end of the fall of the Assyrian Empire. All right, so let's get back into Daniel's the 7th chapter now. Let's go to quick nav. Daniel 7. All right, so here we go. Vision of the 4 beasts, Daniel 7. And I went into this not too long ago, so it's still fresh on my mind, but just going to tap into it again. Daniel 7 and 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. So once again, going into Job 33. Starting at 14, this is the NLT. For Yahweh speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night when deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds. He whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warnings. He makes them turn from doing wrong. He keeps them from pride. So here it is now. Daniel is having a vision himself, right? In a dream. So Daniel 1, right? It says, Daniel envisioned the dream during the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. All right. Daniel, verse 2, Daniel spake and saw, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. Daniel dreamed the 4 winds stirring up the great sea. The sea refers to nations and people. The winds refer to the 4 winds or the 4 angels from Revelations, the 7th chapter. Let's see if they even have it in the cross ref. I'll let us see if they had that part. Yeah, as you can see the cross ref ain't that bad at all. Cross ref got it right here. The 4. It says Revelation 7 and 1. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. So you see, they're holding back the winds here. The wind symbolizes destruction. So let's go right back into what we had here. Close that out. So once again, Daniel spake and saw and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds, which 4 winds symbolize what? Destruction. Of the heavens strove upon the great sea. Because 4 winds actually symbolizes the 4 angels, Salaki, not destruction. They're holding back destruction. Daniel 7 and 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Let me just get a picture of let me get a picture of that real quick. Let me just get it, something to work off of. That's good. Ain't gotta be nothing crazy. All right, cool. Brighten the screen a little bit. There we go. All right, so where we at? Verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So four great beasts came from the sea, all diverse. Beasts represent world governments. The beasts represent world governments. Daniel's dream was similar to Nebuchadnezzar's dream. All right, verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and as a man's heart was given to it. So that's talking about the Assyrian Empire. That's the lion. All right. And the Assyrian Empire lasted until the wings were plucked. All right. Now the wings, you can see in the dream, these great wings, these rings symbolizes the two nations that came behind it. All right. One being the Neo-Babylon. They was called Neo-Babylon at that time. And also the Medes were there the whole time too. You actually have something called the Medo-Persian. I mean, Babylon Mede Empire. Let's see if it pops up. So Medes was there the whole time, right? The Medes was there the whole time. So as you can see here, Medo-Babylonian conquest. So even though you don't see it here, where it says directly from Assyrian to Babylon, right? Assyrian will be over here and it goes directly into Babylon. The Medes were actually influential in that, right? The Medo-Babylon conquest of Assyrian Empire says was the last war fought by the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Last war fought by the Neo-Assyrian Empire between 626 and 609. Succeeded his brother. I'm not going to read that. I'm just going to get the main point. We've seen this word, Nabopolassar, a general, to rise up and seize power in Babylonia. Let's go down. The Neo-Babylonian Empire and newly formed Median Empire under the king Xerxes then invaded the Assyrian heartland. In 614 BC, the Medes captured and sacked Ashur, the ceremonial and religious heart of Assyrian Empire. And in 612 BC, their combined armies attacked and razed Nineveh, the Assyrian capital. So it was called the Medo-Babylonian conquest of Assyria. But the nation that came into power at that time was not the Medes. That's not when they came in. They were just there and they were helping. But the Babylonian Empire began. All right. Beginning with the coronation of Nabopolassar, the king of Babylon, in 626, and being firmly established through the fall of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Right. So that lets you know that in the dream, these once they got plucked up, that began the Babylonian Empire. One symbolizes the Medes, who was there to help defeat the lion, which is the Assyrian. One symbolizes Babylon. Let's continue. In verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself on one side, and had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now, see, these 2 beasts, the first 2 beasts have, let's move this. The first 2 beasts are pretty much 2 kingdoms together, right? This is the lion of Assyria, the wings of Babylon, and the Medes. Now, this bear we're dealing with is the Medes, the Medo-Persian Empire. The Medo-Persian Empire. So it's still, these first two beasts symbolizes two kingdoms. That's something that you can help you remember. So the second beast, like a bear, symbolizes Medo-Persia. The bear was raised on one side because the Persian Empire was more powerful of the two. And that's how it became raised on one side. All right. Now, if you go to, I always forget this guy's name. But basically, the three, it says it has 3 ribs on the mouth of it, between the teeth. And when the Medo Empire came in, it had the upper hand, right? But then the Persians came in and pretty much outranked them. And the Persians took down more land than the Medes did. So if you look at the two empires as well, if you look at the two empires, you'll see that the Medes Empire was a lot smaller. It says media. These people is crazy. The Medes Empire was a lot smaller than the Persian Empire, emphasizing the point again that the bear stood up on one side. So as you can see here, this is Media when they came into power. Right, not the best image. Trying to get it to. All right, so here's the Media Empire when it came into power. The Medes. By the way, the Medes is Japheth. All right, so they had, right, they didn't have Jerusalem, but they went all the way to Cappadocia in modern day Turkey. They went down here to Babylon. Pasargadae was that was the main point of the Persian Empire, Pasargadae right here. But the Medes Empire was right here, Hagmatana, whatever it's called. Here's Babylon. They didn't even really fully conquer Babylon. So who was more influential in conquering Babylon? Even though the Medes got the upper hand, it was really the city became conquered by Persia. Because when that was Mede, now watch the Persian Empire, how that looked. Much greater than the last one. Mede Empire, Persian Empire. See, they went all the way to Memphis. They went past Cappadocia all the way to Lydia. Now, when you're dealing with the 3 ribs, the 3 ribs symbolizes the 3 main powers at that time. Let's get it again in Daniel 7. It says, and it had 3 ribs, and behold, Daniel 7:5, and behold, another beast, the second, like to a bear, and it raised it up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. That's the bear with the 3 ribs in his mouth. The Persian Empire looked like this. It conquered with the 3 main ribs: Lydia, which is including Sardis. You'll hear about Cyrus the Great conquering Lydia of Persia, Cyrus the Great, who also conquered the Medes. And then you'll have they conquered Babylon, which was another heavy power at that time. And the third heavy power was Egypt. And Cyrus the Great conquered Lydia, Sardis, and Babylon area. It was his son Cambyses II that conquered Egypt. Going on in Daniel 7. So it arose and devoured much flesh because they were just taking down nations. The Persian Empire became more powerful of the two, between the Medes and the Persians, and they began to conquer, as you can see in the picture. Verse 6. In this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So here goes a leopard back there. Now, the third beast, like a leopard with 4 wings and heads, symbolizes the Grecian Empire. Alexander the Great, or the Great, of course they call him the Great, represents the leopard, right? And his 4 generals represented the 4 heads. You had Ptolemy, who ruled in the south. That's one of the heads. You had Seleucus, who ruled over Syria. You had Lacenaeus, I believe that was in Turkey area. Oh, no. Lacenaeus was Greece and Thrace. And then you had Cassandra, which was on the Turkey side in Bithynia, I believe it's called. That little space that connects Turkey to Greece. That's where he ruled. So that was the 4 heads: Ptolemy, Seleucus, Lacenaeus, and Cassandra. And that's what First Maccabees, the first chapter, goes into. I ain't gonna go into that right now though. I got a little more to go. Daniel 7:7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, the 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it was great, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So now we got this last beast right here, diverse from the rest, 10 horns. And so the last dreadful beast, who had iron teeth, that symbolizes, the iron teeth symbolizes his mighty military. That was the mighty military of that iron beast. I mean, that last beast, which is the Roman Empire. All right. It was diverse. The Roman Empire was diverse from all the beasts before it, because that Caesars were elected to the office. And when you go into, do I have it here? You go into First Maccabees, the 8th chapter, I believe it is. And you go into around the 8th verse. Where is it? First Maccabees. Give me a second. Yeah, if you go into First Maccabees 8, or even it could be Second Maccabees 8, it talks about that. Just how they had senators. If you know exactly where that is, just put that in the comment section. They had elects, they had councils. Anyway, that's what made it diverse from the rest of the beasts. That's First Maccabees 8 and 15, by the way. Moreover, how they had made it for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily. So 320 senators, that's how they did it. Right? And they deliberated about the affairs of the people and their well-being. That's what made this 4th beast unlike diverse from all the other beasts. So they had elections, Caesars were elected, they had the Senate, so forth and so on. These 10 horns are similar to the 10 toes in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. This the beast. The beast is the current power structure of the so-called white man, who is Esau, Edom in the Bible, and the 10 horns symbolize the EU. So the beast is the Roman Empire, and what comes out of the Roman Empire was the 10 horns. And the 10 horns symbolizes what is basically NATO and EU today. EU. And as we went over, similar to the 10 toes, Daniel's the 2nd chapter. All right. Let me just check the feed, make sure it's good. All right, cool. Keep going. So now we are verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom There were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. The 11th horn, the one that came up from Mister Three, is talking about America, which plucked up Spain, Britain, and France out of North America during the American Revolution and gained power over the United States. America has a mouth speaking great things by claiming to have the most superior world government, military, and economy. Simply put, the Ancient of Days reigns. Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Daniel saw all the world's government destroyed before the powerful throne of the Most High, who's a so-called black man, by the way. Woolly hair. Verse 10, a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and judgment was set, and the books were opened. So the Most High's throne was mighty, with hundreds of millions of angels surrounding him. Verse 11, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. So Daniel saw America being destroyed in thermonuclear fire. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season of time. So the rest of the beasts were destroyed, with all governments being subdued to the rulers of the kingdom of heaven. The Son of Man presented. I saw in the vision, night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. The Son of Man is Yahushua. He came with the clouds of heaven, so-called UFOs, to the Most High's throne. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So the Most High Yahweh gave the Lord Yahushua an everlasting dominion over all people and nations. And like the stone in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, Daniel saw more clearly that Yahushua would destroy the world governments and set up his righteous kingdom on earth. Vision interpreted. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. So Daniel became grieved by the vision. I came near unto one of the men, I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all of this. So he told me and made me know the interpretations of the things. And I just want to grab real quick. If I go into some of the other Bibles, I believe this will say Gabriel. Let's see. Nah, maybe I'm jumping the gun. All right, so I'll take that back. Because later on, he's dealing with Gabriel and Michael. All right, so an angel told Daniel the interpretation of the vision. Verse 17, these great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. So the four beasts are four kingdoms of the earth that will rise to great power. Verse 18, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So ultimately, the Israelites, who are the saints of the Most High, will take power from the heaven and control them in a rulership without end. All right, take power from all of these kingdoms. So it's going to be transferred to us. Daniel 7 and 19, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, breaking pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. So Daniel inquired of the fourth dreadful beast, and of the 10 horns which were in his head, and of the others which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes in the mouth that speak very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So the meaning, he asked the meaning of its 10 horns and the eventual 11th horn. And I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. So Daniel saw the 11th horn, America, winning a war against the Israelites. And the Israelites, people with Negro and Latino and Native American descent. And that war is basically slavery, enslaved us. Verse 22, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So until the Most High sanctioned the time for Israel to come back into the power. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. So the fourth beast has power to destroy all nations and militarily. That's how they do it, through their military. Verse 24, and the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So the 10 horns is the EU. It will rise along with America. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of times. So the time and time dividing of times, I'll start with that. That's 350 years. Time, dividing of times is 350 years. Time, times, and dividing of time. And that's from 1620 to 1970. And what happened is, is the beginning of the awakening of the Israelites into who we really are, right? And that happened in 1970, right around the time, late 60s, right around the time Abba Bivens first started teaching who the Israelites are in the streets, right? So America, it starts out by saying, he shall speak great words against the Most High, he shall wear out the saints of the Most High. America speaks out against the Most High by allowing gay rights, promoting women over men, and not upholding the laws of the Bible and truth. All right, they weighed down the Israelites through its unrighteous laws and decrees. Obviously, they did that as well through slavery. They altered times by claiming day in the fall, claiming a day in the fall and spring seasons as daylight savings time, and they have so-called leap years. And the fact that the Israelites are slaves here in America until the Most High gave this knowledge to us meant that the dividing of times and the end of that period wearing us out has ended. Verse 26, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. So basically in a different time frame than we was when we first came over here. That's also symbolizing that we in a whole nother time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it unto the end. So judgment is set that the so-called white man's power will be taken from him. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So the Israelites will come into an everlasting rule over all people. Verse 28, hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So that was the end of the interpretation. Daniel's countenance changed, but he kept it to himself. Now we're going into Daniel's the next chapter, Daniel's 8. I haven't went over this in a minute. Okay. So we go, Daniel's 8. It says, vision of the ram and goat. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at first. So another vision appeared to Daniel 3 years after the one in chapter 7. And I saw in the vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in the vision, and I was by the river Ulai. So vision, Daniel saw himself in a vision in the land of Elam besides the Ulai River. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before me, before the river, a ram which had 2 horns. The 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the highest came up last. So this vision is similar to the one he had in chapter 7. It symbolizes animals as kingdoms. Daniel sees a ram with 2 horns, one higher than the other. The ram symbolizes the Medo-Persian Empire. You go to Medo-Persian Empire as a ram, which is two empires, two nations put together. And the second horn that came up higher was the Persians, who overpowered the first horn, the Median Empire. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. And so the Medo-Persians began to conquer all nations except in the east. Right. So he pushed westward, Babylon, northward, which you can say was Lydia, and southward, Egypt. All right. And that's them three, which I just named, those three bones that was also in the mouth's bear, 3 ribs. So Daniel's 2 basically backs it up. Daniel's 2 backs up Daniel's, Daniel's 7 backs up Daniel's 8, where it says westward, northward, and southward, but he didn't conquer eastward. Right. Anyway, verse 8. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. So the he-goat came from the west, which is Greece, touched not the ground, by swiftly conquering all the nations. I believe they conquered all these nations in 11 years. And the notable horn between his eyes was Alexander the Great. Talks about him in First Maccabees, the 1st chapter. And he was 32 or 33 when he died. And I think his first battle was at 14. So it was only about 11 years that he had, ultimately from the 16 or 14. But he started young. Daniel's 8 and 6, and he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. So the he-goat came up to the ram by the river with the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. So choler means anger or hatred. At the river, the he-goat smote the ram utterly. And these are all battles and wars that were fought between Xerxes and Artaxerxes, and dealing with when Alexander the Great conquered Greece. Conquered Medo-Persia. You can go into the secular history on that. It's all there. Yeah. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver him out of his hand. I read that. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, for it came up for 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. I'm gonna read that again. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. So in the midst of Alexander the Great's strength, at 32 years old, he died. So the great horn was broken. His 4 generals, or notables, came into power. That's again Cassander, Ptolemy, Lacemes, and Seleucus. So the little horn, and out of one of them came forth the little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. Antiochus Epiphanes the 4th from Syria, who's written about in 1st and 2nd Maccabees, and the Apocrypha is the little horn which waxed exceeding great. The Syrian Empire spread southeast and into the pleasant land of Israel. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Antiochus Epiphanes persecuted many Jews in the land of Israel, including priests. Verse 11, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down, which means he magnified himself against the prince of the host, who is Yahushua. He didn't stop the daily sacrifices in the temple and defiled the sanctuary. Verse 12, and a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered, which means the Jews were delivered unto the horn on account of wickedness and impure sacrifices. The truth was cast to the ground, meaning Israel would be stopped from practicing the law, and the books of the law would be forgotten. Verse 13, then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto the certain saint which spake, how long shall the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and transgressions of desolations to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? Which is Daniel overheard the saint asking another saint concerning the vision, when these things will come to pass. Verse 14, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then the sanctuary be cleansed. So Daniel was told that the sanctuary would be cleansed in 2,300 days, which was 165 BC by Judas Maccabees. Interpretation of the vision. Daniel's 8 and 15, and it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. So the angel Gabriel comes in now, and he stands before Daniel. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Eula, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So the Lord told Gabriel to interpret the vision of Daniel. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. So Gabriel began to explain the vision to Daniel. It was about the end times. But Daniel passed out. It says, I was afraid and fell upon my face. Verse 18, now as he was speaking with me, and I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. So Gabriel woke Daniel and raised him to his feet. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. So Gabriel announced to Daniel that he will interpret the vision. It says the ram's identity. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Medo-Persia. All right, the ram represents Medo-Persian Empire. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So the rough goat represents the Grecian Empire. The great horn between the eyes is Alexander the Great. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, the four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So four kingdoms shall rise from the broken horn, not with the same power. It goes on to the four kingdoms of Ptolemy, Lacenaeus, Seleucus, and Cassander. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Later on, from the Syrian faction of the Grecian Empire comes Antiochus Epiphanes IV, whom, when transgressors are come to the full, he will stand up using deceit and terror. And his power shall be mighty, but not his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. So that means he shall destroy the Jews of Israel mightily and terribly, and not by his own power, signifies that the Most High set him up to fulfill his will. Verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause crafts to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. which means Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth came into power through craftiness, and he was puffed up with pride and destroyed the peace of the Israelites. He exalted himself against the Most High and was eventually taken down. Prince of Princes is Yahushua, who he exalted himself against. Verse 26, in the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told is true, wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. So Gabriel revealed that vision, that the vision was a future prophecy that will come to pass, and Daniel was told to record the vision. That's what it means, shut thou up the vision. Verse 27, and I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward, I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. So because of the dramatic spiritual experience, Daniel fainted and became sick for a time, but nobody understood what was happening to him. That was Daniel in Daniel's 8 concerning the 4 empires, the 4 beasts, and everything from Assyria to the Babylon, Medo, Persian, Greek, Roman, and even into the future of the kingdom of heaven, prophesied by the prophet Daniel. Again, closing out with Job 33 and 14 in the KJV. It says, for it happened once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and the slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide man from his pride. I brought this out. This video was edifying. Call Haloyim Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rakakodash. I want to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom and salutations to you brothers out here that's pushing the words of truth and sincerity. I brought this out. This video was edifying. Until next time, shalom. Above.